This is the walk through the New Testament. 400 years, silence. Malachi to Matthew. The powers were Greece gave us common language, Israel gave us common hope, and Rome gave us common roads. The politics of the day, Sanhedrin, scribes, Sadducees, Pharisees, publicans, and zealots. The Gospels give us 4 distinct views, but one good news. In 4 BC in Bethlehem, Jesus was born. In Nazareth, he learned to become a carpenter. And in AD 26, in the Jordan River, Jesus was baptized by John. He removed to the wilderness where he was tempted by Satan. His first miracle was at Cana, where he turned the water into wine. In Jerusalem, he spoke to Nicodemus about the second birth. In Samaria, he spoke to the woman at the well. In Nazareth, Jesus was rejected. In Capernaum, he selected the 12, spoke the Sermon on the Mount, demonstrated power over Satan, and the parables started. A storm was stilled, a crowd was filled. Walking on water, testimony of Peter, transfiguration. In Jerusalem, stones flew, Jesus withdrew. To Perea, where Jesus preached, counting the cost and seeking the lost. In Judea, Lazarus was raised, and Zacchaeus was praised. In AD 30 in Jerusalem, the triumphal entry, temple cleansing, Last Supper. In the garden, he prayed, was betrayed, tried, was denied, crucified, resurrected, and ascended. 10 days later, the Spirit descended on the apostles at the day of Pentecost. Peter and John cured a lame man. Ananias and Sapphira were caught in embezzlement. The 7 deacons were chosen, including Stephen, who was martyred, and Philip, who preached. Paul was converted on the road to Damascus. Peter had a vision, and then a night release from prison. James was then martyred. In AD 46, Paul's first missionary journey lasted 2 years and was mainly in the region of Galatia. In AD 48, the apostles gathered in Jerusalem for the first church council. Did the Gentiles need to follow the law? The answer was no. Matthew wrote a gospel. James wrote a letter. Paul wrote to the Galatians. In AD 49, Paul's second missionary journey lasted 3 years and was mainly in the regions of Macedonia, Greece, and Achaia. At this time, Paul wrote 2 letters to the Thessalonians. In AD 53, Paul's third missionary journey lasted 4 years and was mainly in the region of Asia Minor. At this time, Paul wrote 2 letters to the Corinthians and 1 letter to the Romans. In AD 58, back in Jerusalem, Paul faced 3 trials before Felix, Festus, and Agrippa. Luke wrote a gospel and the book of Acts. Paul's first Roman imprisonment, he wrote the letters of Ephesians, Colossians, Philemon, and Philippians. In AD 62, it ended with his freedom. Paul wrote the pastoral epistles of Titus and 1 Timothy. In AD 64, Rome was burned. Paul's second Roman imprisonment, Paul wrote his final letter to Timothy, and then finally in AD 68, Paul was martyred. At the same time, Peter wrote 2 letters and helped Mark write his gospel. Hebrews and Jude were also written at this time, and Peter was martyred. In AD 70, Jerusalem fell. Many years later, John wrote his gospel, 3 epistles, and was exiled to Patmos, in AD 95, where he received the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's the walkthrough of the New Testament.